Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our Chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition, and we turn out to poem 514. Her smile was shaped like other smiles. Some have argued that this is in fact a return back to poem 353 and another poem about smiling and maybe another Sioux poem. You'll maybe remember this one that we already studied together. A happy lip breaks sudden. It doesn't state you how it contemplated. Smiling, just consummated now. But this one wears its merriment so patient like a pain. Fresh, gilded to elude the eyes, unqualified to scan. Our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily's our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments. I'm hopeful that you've worked through the preceding 513 poems. We just finished with 513, like flowers that heard the news. Now, the scholar David Priest has argued that this is a poem about Emily's broken-hearted response to Sam Boyles and the publisher, the editor of the Springfield Republican, as he was making his famous essay on women and women writers. And Emily maybe has taken this, kind of personally and feels somehow repudiated by Boyles, and so she writes this poem about smiles. Is she writing about Sue, or is she writing about herself? I'll leave it to you to decide. I should point out before we even hit this poem that the scholar Franklin has argued that this 353 that we just read was in fact a continuation with this poem, so they should go together. They were on the same folio apparently originally. Let's enjoy the poem. Her smile was shaped like other smiles. The dimples ran along, and still it hurt you as some bird did hoist himself to sing, then recollect a ball she got and hold upon the twig, convulsive, while the music broke like beads among the bog. Now this rupturing image at the end, I think, is what leads Priest and other scholars to say, maybe Emily is talking about how a smile gets ruined in some way by some information that will lead to it. Smile is represented in 44 different poems, and I think it's significant to point out that we don't have but one image of Emily, and there's some who argue that she's really not smiling in the poem or in the photo itself. It'd be interesting, of course, to have some referencing to smile. Of those 44 poems about smiling, well, I'll only mention a couple. 1531, when we get there, we'll come back to this poem again. 1531, she says it this way: above oblivion's tide there's a pier, and in a faceless few are lifted there, nay, lift themselves. Fame has no arms, but one smile that meagers balms. Notice her smile was shaped like other smiles. The dimples ran along, and still it hurt you. Again, who is the you here? Is Emily speaking about herself now because the smile is Sue's, or however you want to read this? And then an interesting simile, as some bird. Now Emily, of course, has referenced herself potentially as a bird at times, did hoist herself to sing. Get ready to sing. We're going to get to the music in a second. Then recollect a ball she got and hold upon the twig, convulsive. We'll only see this word convulsive in one other poem, 928, the heart convulsive learns. Convulsive while the music broke. I think broke is the key word of the poem. And then again, another simile, like beads among the bog. It's as if there's this project that's been constructed and everything's going to go great, and then all of a sudden it gets shattered and dashed, if you will. When we get to poem 1518, one more time we'll reference this. We'll come back to it. Not seeing, still we know. Not knowing, guess. Not guessing, smile and hide and half caress and quake and turn away. Sapphiric fear is Eden's innuendo, if you dare. And I think there's a reason when we get to 1518, we'll come back to 514. I think the message here is sometimes all that you can do in certain situations is to smile, if you will. It's all that's left. And to be, I think the key word of this poem is broke. And at 3a, 1518, I think is a poem we've got to come back to later in our study. Finally, at 3a, what was a time when all you could do is smile because the music broke? I'm hoping that Emily's challenging you. Thank you.